Hello and welcome back to the channel. Should you change your own motorcycle tyres, or should you just pay someone 30 quid per tyre to do it for you? I honestly don't know, but we're about to find out. Let's have the bike on its centre stand, and I'm going to put some extra weight in the top box to stop it tipping forwards. We're undoing the front axle with 14 and 19mm spanners. I'm hoping I can just drop the whole wheel out, leaving the caliper behind. And as I take it out, there we go. I'm just careful not to drop these spacers. They might stay in there okay, but I think we will just take them out so we don't lose them. These are actually the original tyres that came with the bike, and I think they've done well to last 4 years and 12,000 miles, but they are really due for a change. I had the bike MOT just the other day, and the guy said they are just barely passing, but by the time you get home this afternoon, they probably wouldn't. So I'm glad we can do this now. I'm going to put the wheel down on something so we don't damage the rim or this rubber seal. And the first thing to do is to get all the air out of the tyre. I'm also going to use this valve core removal tool to take out the valve core, because we want the air to be able to come and go easily as we flex the tyre. Now we need to get the bead of the edge of the tyre out of the groove here, and I bought these fairly cheap tyre levers. They do sell some which have spanners on the end to use for the axle nuts, which I would have paid more for, but they didn't have the sizes for this bike. 14 and 19mm seems a bit unusual. So let's give it a try. I don't know if a small tyre is going to be easier or harder than a big tyre. It could be harder because there's less rubber to bend. Ah, right, there we go. So we just need to go around, that's it, and get the rim of the tyre inwards so it's not sitting up inside this groove here. Once it's started, there we go, we can do it by hand. You're on a wobbly paving slab. Okay. So that's one side. Turn it over. That's better. So we're not going to accidentally bend the brake disc now. We've got it now. Yep. No problem at all. Yep, there's plenty of space. Right, both beads are now loose. It's time to try and get the tyre off. I mean, I certainly wouldn't say I don't know what I'm doing. I've watched the RevZilla video just like you have, but this is my first time, so we're learning together. This is 50% washing up liquid and 50% water, which I'm told makes it a lot easier to stretch the rubber over the rim there. We want the tyre nice and slippery. And then these cheap plastic rim protectors go in here to stop you scraping the paint on the rim. I'm starting away from the valve, really don't know why, but that seemed like the right thing to do. Right, this is going to have to be a lot closer together to start with. I think maybe especially on a small tyre. I've got both at once there, you can't do that. There we go. There we go. Yeah, first couple of bits are hardest, I think, especially on a small wheel. Getting the first bit of the tyre over the edge. There we go. Okay, fantastic. Right, we've got one side of the tyre off. Now we need to take it all the way off the wheel. Let's turn it over and have a look. Now I'm sure you're aware of this, but the centre of the wheel has a deeper groove. And when you're going to get the rim of the tyre over the edge, it's essential that the opposite bead is down inside that groove, because the tyre has a steel band around the edge which will not stretch. Unlike a bicycle tyre where you can sort of stretch the rubber over the rim, you're not going to stretch the edge of the tyre here. So to get this one high enough, the opposite one has to be sunk down into the centre groove. So keep an eye on that. Let's add some lubrication. I will wipe out the inside of the wheel afterwards, because we don't want too much water hanging around in there. And then I think all I need to do is get this tyre lever all the way past the second. Yeah, that's it. Yes, there we go. Alright, a bit more knee action required now. Okay. You're going in there. Yes. What the hell was that? Sorry, you fell off. It's probably just as well. I imagine that didn't sound too attractive. Right, now that's thoroughly jammed in there. But you know what? We can just... Yes! Ah. Success. Look at that. Here's the wheel without its tyre. Now I was curious to see if we'd find any kind of balancing weights. There aren't any on the outside. So I think they just make wheels so well now, and tyres, that they don't really do balancing. I'm curious to see if we can find the rope plug repair that I did earlier. Oh look, yes, there it is. Yeah, look, there's the rope plug I used to repair the tyre a while back, and something has stuck to it. Oh, there's a label on the inside of the tyre. Now I've chosen the CST 910 for the front of the bike and the CST 6011 for the rear, which is actually the same tyre that was on in the first place. And then a lot of people have said, you know, oh, you've got to choose the Continentals or these other tyres. But I figure tyres is not a place in my life where I'm looking for variety. I don't want to try something new just for the sake of trying something new. And these ones have done really, really well. Plus they were the cheapest, so it kind of makes sense to stick with the same thing. I'm sure if you're a sports bike rider or someone riding, you know, much faster and more aggressively than me, that you would notice the difference. But I'm more than happy with the stock option. By the way, whilst you've got the front wheel off the bike, be very careful not to squeeze the front brake lever, because the pads here would immediately push straight together, and you'll have to separate them again before you can get the wheel back in. Okay, as we fit the new tyre, we need to be very careful to get it the right way round. There is a yellow dot which indicates the lightest part of the tyre, and that's meant to go in the same place as the valve, because the valve adds a little bit of weight, so hopefully they balance each other out. We also need to get the tyre the right way round. I've noticed that the old tyre and the new one have this green stripe on one side, just to help you a bit, but the important thing is there's an arrow here that says rotation. And that's the direction that the tyre is going to turn. Very careful when you've got two options, it's easy to overthink it and go the wrong way. The wheel is turning that way, so the brake disc is like that, so it's turning that way. So the tyre is going to go that way, yes. So in my case, I don't know about you, but in my case, the green line is on the rider's left, which is the opposite side to the brake disc. There's the valve. Disc is opposite the green line. Yeah, perfect. That's it. Yeah. The first one shouldn't be hard to do. There we go. Got it on there. Right. This is the part that I was expecting to be hardest. So we make sure this edge is down in the drop centre, and we need to we can kneel on the first bit there and make sure that this side stays down in the middle, otherwise you won't be able to lever that over. And let's get the rim protectors in there. The soap on the tools also makes them harder to grip. Now I've used a tip I heard, which is to only lubricate the bit you're moving. This bit here I'm leaving dry to hopefully help me increase the friction there and stop it slipping off. And the last bit goes on like that. Honestly, that wasn't as hard as I was expecting. Now this part I was slightly unsure of. We basically need to try and inflate the tyre and seat the bead, but because the tyre isn't in full contact yet with the wheel, the air can just leak out. It might be better to have a compressor, a shop compressor, for the airflow, so the air can go out quickly. There are some tips people have suggested to try if you need them, but let's just give it a go and see what happens. When the bead seats, we're expecting 2 loud pops. Don't be scared. Yeah, so there's zero pressure on the gauge, and when I move the tyre around I can feel air. So alright, first thing to try is a bit more lubrication. I mean, I have seen videos of people putting like fireworks inside them to make a sudden explosion of air or lighter fluid. No. Okay. Brains, let's try something else. Alright, the tip that I got was to try and use a ratchet strap, which I don't have, to compress the tyre all at once and try and keep it in contact. But we don't have that, so we're just going to try a bit of cord. Place your bets. Okay, that didn't work. All right, I'm admitting defeat. The problem is airflow. So if the question is, does changing your own tyres save you money? The answer is absolutely not. I wanted one anyway, so this is the perfect excuse. Well, I think I would have bought one of these eventually, but that's the way it goes with tool purchases, isn't it? You spend the money you save doing the job yourself on the tool you need, and then you keep the tool for later. Only problem is you sometimes end up buying the cheapest version that way. But I think the Titan's okay. Right, let's give it a go. It's about to get windier. Ready? Oh, there we go. It's moving. That's it. Oh. Hey. Excellent. Right, I've left the valve core out to make the airflow easier, so we will now have to release the pressure. Now it's seated, we can return the valve core and then inflate the tyre. And we inflate the front tyre up to 1.75 bars. We're not holding pressure, hang on. Interesting. Wonder why that doesn't work. For now, let me grab the Makita while I figure that out. Yeah, I don't really understand why that didn't work. Let's just inflate it with the Makita for now. There we go. Look at that. Ready to go on the bike. Oh, I'm so chuffed with that. That's great. Carefully does it. There we go. Okay, axle is through. That's on the other side. Try and spin this freely. Yeah. Right. I am actually going to take this for a little spin. I want to feel if there's any noticeable vibration in the wheel, which might indicate we need balancing. Okay, that went really well. Bike felt perfectly normal, no vibrations. Got up to 50, absolutely fine. Fantastic. Right, let's get on with the back wheel. Last time I had the rear wheel off was to change the chain. And this time I'm hoping we can take the drum brake out of the wheel and leave it on the bike to have less stuff to undo. There's a link here to the time we changed the chain if you want to see a bit more detail, so I'll go a little bit faster this time. So there's the nut, oops, and the marker. I only just cleaned and oiled the chain, so hopefully it won't get quite as greasy this time as last time. There we go. Right, spacer from the right hand side and from the left. Put them on in order so nothing gets lost. Let's take the chain off first, like that. Slide the wheel over to the left a bit and ease out the drum brake. Yeah. Oh, that's a lot easier than last time. Turn it to the right to avoid the brake. There we go. I'm just going to stick this under here. That'll do. Just in case anyone should lean on the back of the bike. That might stop it tipping over. Now they say the first time you do something takes ages, and then after you've learned how to do it, the second time's much quicker. Well, changing the tyres on your bike gives you the opportunity to prove that, doesn't it? Alright, let's let the air out. We will remove the valve core. We'll get to breaking the bead. This tyre is slightly bigger than the front one, but they're both still very small, aren't they? There we go. And once you've got the first bit off, it comes off easily. Okay. There. Yeah. Way faster the second time you do things, isn't it? Well, that'll do. There is actually a bit of oil on this wheel that sprayed off the chain. There we go. There. That's one side. That was harder work than I remember. There we go. Right, now the new tyre has been sitting in the sun, softening up nicely, so hopefully that will help a little bit. Once again, the yellow mark goes next to the valve. The rotation should be that way. Yeah. So the first side is not too bad. There we go. Around there. Ooh. And then the last bit is the hardest. Oh, this is evil. There we go. Right, well, I think the hard part is done. Let's get this bead seated and then we can get the wheel back on the bike. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, look at that. I can see bubbles. My fear is, what if we've damaged the bead? That would be a disaster. .25 we want on here. Let's just put some soapy water all the way around the edge. And look for bubbles. Just looking around all the way around the edge. We'll just turn it over. Do the other side. This much soap, you would definitely see bubbles if we are leaking. Let's get the brake shoes in there. Which will be easy to do if the brake is not applied. That just took a lot of fiddling to get the axle through there. It probably would have been better to loosen these adjusters, but I just wanted to avoid it if I could. There we go. Let's get the spacer in here. And we're through. Woo! Thank God for that. And we didn't touch the adjusters, but we will check. And that's on there. And we're looking for 54 Newton meters of torque. Make sure both adjusters are pushed in. Wheel spins. Very nice. Let's just check the tyre pressure again. Of course it does go up and down in the heat. 2.15. Basically nothing. And thank God the rotation is the correct way. Green line on the left, at least for this bike. Okay, well, in theory, we should be done. I'm going to cool off, clean up, and then go for a ride, try it out. Right, the bike feels fantastic. Actually, it feels exactly the same as it did before, which is to say, fantastic. So the short answer, should you change your motorcycle tyres yourself, is yes. But here's the long answer. I think you did need the compressor. I don't think I could have got the bead seated without it. So if you don't have one, you could ask around, see if a friend's got one, obviously. You could even put the wheels in your car and take them down to a tyre shop and ask very nicely and maybe buy them a beer, and maybe they'll just do that little bit for you. But if you've already got a compressor and all you need is a couple of tyre levers and the rim protectors and stuff, then yeah, it might save you money doing it once. If you're going to buy the compressor, definitely not. I mean, especially given that the tyres lasted me 4 years. I expect I'll pay for the compressor eventually, but I wanted it for other things, so that's okay. But the cost isn't really the main point, is it? I mean, in theory, I could try changing car tyres now, but I've no interest in doing that. I'm just going to take it down to quick fit as usual. That's not really the point for motorbikes. If motorbiking is your hobby and your passion, it's the sense of satisfaction of doing the job yourself and ticking it off and making sure it's done well. And if you break even but you end up with a new tool as a result, then I guess that's okay. But yeah, it's a bit of effort. There was a bit of wrestling with the tyre levers there to get the tyres on and off, but with absolutely no skill whatsoever, because it's the very first time I've done it. I managed it. So yeah, give it a go. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this beautiful evening's ride. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.